Welcome to the Lucha Lounge. I'm your host, Steve DeMarco. I hope everybody's enjoying their Sunday fun day, or not having a case of the Mondays, or, hopefully Monday's your fun day. Who knows? Who knows? I know I'm trying to enjoy my weekend, and what a weekend it's been so far. Before I get into the meat of the topic, a little business. September 10th, Reality Wrestling proudly brings to you Reloaded, its next set of television tapings, happening live at the World Gym Arena. The event will be live. The tapings, well, they will come out much like the next 4 weeks or 3 weeks will be Summer of Champions devoted, with last week being the first week and whatnot. Be sure to check us out on the CW39 every Sunday morning at 11 a.m. if you're unable to see it there, or you're not in the area. Be sure to check us out every Monday when we release it on YouTube. Or go to realitywrestling.com for details, whether it be about episodes that have aired, or if it be about the September 10th episode. And then I believe we have a fantasy camp coming up in October. I want to say it might be October 17th. Do not quote me on that, because that doesn't sound right. Sorry about that. But again, go to realitywrestling.com for further details, or follow us on Facebook. Also be sure to subscribe to the Offshoots Network, which I'm proudly a part of, so you can get this episode every Monday when it drops, at least in audio form, or subscribe to my YouTube channel. I'm on, quite a few videos there, quite a few episodes in podcast form, so just enjoying the journey and whatnot. Speaking of the Offshoots, there is a plan to do a top 100. I think the details are still being worked out. I think it's the Offshoots 100. I want to say that's what it's going to be called. Do not quote me on that. I think we're still trying to get details. I know it might be a different format than normal, even what the PWI 500 is. I think we're going to gather a bunch of names and then kind of put them out there and see how many people get votes, and I think the votes will determine a person's ranking and whatnot. I believe that's it, but we're still kind of in the early stages of that. I think I'm providing my list sometime this week. I don't think it's due till the end of September, so it probably won't be till the end of the year before this list comes out. But I know it's in part a response to the PWI 500. Congrats to all those that were part of it. I know when I was part of it, it was quite the deal for me. I enjoyed getting to see my name on there in the ranking and whatnot. Of course, that was before social media and such. So, but at the same time, it was a great feather in my cap just to be in that list. So people can say what they want, but I think it's cool when you're on that list. At the same time, I know, there probably won't be a lot of reality wrestling representation on there, simply because I'm not too sure of why that is. But so I know for my offshoots, the majority of the names, there are going to be quite a few names on there, men and women, because I think we're going to be an all-inclusive type of list. So yeah, again, kudos to those that were part of it. We're on it, and kudos to those that are going to get to be on the Offshoots 100. I know it's going to be a fairly new list and a fairly new situation, but hopefully it'll be the first of many. And again, I think it's going to be up to a fan vote, so we'll see how it goes. But be on the lookout for that. Again, you can subscribe to the Offshoots Network and get my episode as well as plenty of other episodes. There's a whole slew of podcasters on that network, and so whether you like my stuff, or you like to hear about the Metroplex area, or you like to hear about there's just a whole slew. I think they're getting political to some extent, and road tripping, and talking smack and all that. But yeah, it's an interesting time, and again, I'm just happy to be part of the Offshoots Network family. So be sure to subscribe there, or again to my Lucha Lounge. Now, on to my episode this week. This is part one of a two-parter. Again, if you did check my episode where I reviewed or gave my thoughts and opinions on NXT, SummerSlam, Raw, SmackDown, Talking Smack, the Miz stuff, the Finn Balor injury, all that, be sure to go check that out. That was my last one. Or I think the time before that I gave kind of a spoiler-free review of Summer of Champions 3, which was loads of fun. But now let's talk about this week and my guest this week. A guy I've been wanting to have on the show for a little while, just because I really am a fan of his work. I'm a fan of his promos, I'm a fan of his in-ring stuff, I'm a fan of the collective group that he's a part of, you know, kind of this dark cult-like group. Being a guy that's never been part of that or really been part of a dark or even really been part of a stable for a length of time. I mean, you know, maybe early in my career, but definitely not most of my career. I mean, I was just a solo act for the most part, maybe had tag team partners, but the idea, and also it was never really like a supremely dark, kind of possessed, you know, person. I just never was. Never had the opportunity, never got possessed. So, it was real interesting. I really wanted to get this guy's take. Plus, you know, I've during my character development sessions or promo nights, he's always wowed me with the ability to kind of turn it on without giving it a second thought. And I've always enjoyed working with him, you know, being a producer and whatnot. So again, I wanted to have Shawn Hendrix on my show. I really want to get into the heart and soul of this guy and kind of get him outside of the reality wrestling element, so we could have just this conversation about, you know, his start. And we really, part one's really about, you know, getting started, being a fan, how a certain pipe bomb promo giving individual really inspired him to even want to become part of the industry, which was a really great story to hear from him. Then we kind of get into his first meeting with Booker T, and what that was like. It was a really interesting story. And we get into training, kind of the early days, the first few matches, being a guy kind of lost in the shuffle because, you know, you're just trying to make that climb. And then ultimately we wrap it up with his Summer of Champions 1 promo, kind of the inspiration behind it, what was going to kick off Legion, and some of the issues when it comes to time, you know, when you're given 2 minutes on a television broadcast, especially a live iPay-per-view, and what can potentially happen. He gives some thoughts and opinions on that, and what potentially was the outcome of that. And yeah, it was really interesting. You know, he really delves into it and gives some personal feelings I don't think he's really ever shared with anyone, and it was really great to be trusted with that. You know, I mean, it's great that talent feels a certain level of connection with me, in a sense of, and they're able to and wanting to share what they feel and how they're going through with this stuff and how things affect them. And Shawn was no different, man. Hendrix, again, been a fan of his, really wanted to have him on the show, really was looking forward to having him on the show. So yeah, now, again, this is going to be part one, so part two, we'll get a little bit more into Legion and his thoughts of the Legion run over the past couple of years and kind of some ideas. So, you know, and some thoughts about potential matchups and people that he's always wanted to face and within reality wrestling. So that's part two. Part one's really, we're laying down the foundation, laying down the base, if you will. And it was really fun conversation. Again, part two. And then future episodes, I know I've reached out to the new reality wrestling tag team champions, The Cool, and so I'm hoping to have them on the show here pretty soon. Yeah. But for now, as I always like to end these, stay cool, stay sexy, stay classy, but you will be all those if you sit back, relax, and enjoy my sit-down conversation with the one and only, the founder, creator, and leader of Legion. I'm talking about none other than the one and only Hendrix. And until the next time, later! And let the healing begin. It's like on a couch. You're a psychiatrist. Shawn Hendrix.
How's it going?
Oh man, I have wanted to talk to you for a little while, and I'm finally able to get you on the show. I'm finally able to schedule something. we're going to get into the beauty that is Shawn Hendrix, one of my favorite on-air personalities, hands down. And I will, as we progress, I will explain to you exactly why. And it'll probably, hopefully won't be a backhanded compliment or anything. I'm just preparing you now. It'll be a true compliment. But everyone has their start. Like how long were you a fan prior to getting into it?
I became a fan through my stepdad, and I met him, I guess, in 97, 98. So, like the Attitude Era, Stone Cold and stuff.
Oh man, just getting welcomed with the glory years, apparently, yeah.
It's weird though, because I have memories of watching like Hogan and Randy Savage.
Okay.
So I guess like before I could form episodic memories, I watched the loud personalities like that. But it wasn't like I love wrestling yet. It was just like, oh, that's on TV. It's colorful. I'll watch it. And but it wasn't until Stone Cold and Undertaker and stuff that I was a fan. Like I watched wrestling.
Okay. And who was was it Stone Cold that really connected with you? Like there's certain guys that are rich. Like for me, Ric Flair, because he was kind of the first guy I saw that seemed larger than life and seemed like everybody else was just a wrestler, but he was like this legitimate, larger-than-life character. And then, of course, Hogan and Warrior and all them. But was there anybody in particular? I mean, the Attitude Era was just filled with personalities, but was it like Stone Cold and Undertaker that really drew you, or just the overall?
This might come as a surprise, but it was really Undertaker and Kane. Like the whole ministry and stuff was like, this is fascinating. Mm-hmm. Like this is wrestling? Like they're crucifying people. They're embalming people. Like this is really what wrestling is all about. All right, I think I can watch this. So I couldn't really relate to them on a personal level or anything. One was a cult leader, and the other one was a demon, I guess. So
partially half bird. Yeah.
So as a young child, I didn't relate. But I was the biggest marks it was. The faces, I loved the faces. The heels, couldn't stand them. It was pretty simple. They got me hooked. If I was older, they would have had my money.
Yeah.
But, so like Stone Cold, I loved Stone Cold, loved The Rock, hated Triple H, and I hated who they wanted me to hate.
So you bought hook, I bought hook, line, and sinker. Yeah. I never questioned it. To this day, if I'm watching Raw or SmackDown, no matter what my position is, I always am just try to separate my producer self from the fan, because and ultimately, if I can tell it's a good show if I never stop to second guess what they're doing. When I start to second guess it, I'm like, okay, same thing with any form of wrestling. I think maybe that's why I like Lucha Underground to a degree, because they just are so kind of out there that you can't really question it. So when did you, going from being a fan, when did you decide that you wanted to try out the industry, and what were those initial thoughts like?
I know a lot of people have the big moments of I want to do this.
Yeah.
I don't have that. I have one where I got serious, but I don't have it when I was a kid. This is what I want to do when I grow up. I got older. I wrestled with my brothers. I wrestled with my friends in the backyard. Not anything too stupid, but just did that. And in high school, I remember people knew that I liked wrestling. People were like, "You're gonna be a luchador." Yeah, I guess so. And I had a plan. After I graduated, I had to wait till I turned 18, because I graduated before I turned 18. I was gonna go to Philadelphia.
Okay.
And I was gonna I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna follow my dream. I didn't do that. I just went to college instead. I don't know who would do that. But and that it went to the back burner. Something I always wanted to do. I would have liked to have done. It was on my bucket list to just wrestle. Didn't matter where. And then I watched Money in the Bank 2011, which is pretty recently.
Yeah.
And the CM Punk match against John Cena, I was like, I have to do this. I absolutely have to do this. And in less than a year, I was at Booker's. after
Okay.
that. So like that, I was like, that's it. Like this is what I want to do.
Mm-hmm.
So
we can thank CM Punk for your
yeah.
the kiss to Vince. I mean, probably arguably one of the best matches in the lexicon of what is WWE. I mean, that whole story, like, at that point, I think we all kind of understood contracts and the fact that he was potentially gone for good, and it didn't seem like a storyline per se. And
I don't think I was ever a bigger fan than that time in WWE
Mhm.
with that storyline. Like, I was so intrigued. Even as a kid, I don't think I was invested as much in wrestling as I was during the summer of Punk.
And what was it? What do you think it was about Punk? I mean, Punk gets a lot of flack now for whatever reason. I'm kind of the I've been burned out with the wrestling business. You're in it long enough. It is kind of hard. That's why I always try to tell people, man, take a day, take a couple of days, take a weekend, like decompress from it. Stay a fan or whatnot. But what was it about Punk that because like you said, I mean, as a kid, it didn't nearly resonate with you nearly as much as this 2011 Money in the Bank match. So what do you think it was about Punk specifically?
There was just something about him that was real, I guess I could say. Like, it didn't feel like he was playing a character, even whenever he was playing ridiculous parts of like the straight edge society. Or I'm sure there's other things just escaping my mind right now, but even when he was at his most ridiculous, it seemed like that's how that man actually is.
Mm-hmm.
Like, even like Stone Cold and The Rock, who are supposedly just turned up to 11, it's like, I can see their character is a redneck, or their character is The Rock.
Yeah.
It was easy to see them as characters still.
Yeah.
But with CM Punk, I was like, no, this is how he is. Like, this is... his promos sound like just a guy talking.
Yeah.
He wears literally like who he is on his sleeves,
Mm-hmm.
and so I just thought that was real cool. I'm a fan of punk music, so that was like the initial drawing into that. Because I watched him. I watched some matches when he was in Ring of Honor. And I was like, oh, this is the guy. It's the dude with the Pepsi symbol.
Yeah.
And wearing like gym shorts and Pepsi symbol. And I've seen it and I was like, all right, that's cool. And then when he was signed and he like debuted in 2006, I was 16, 15 whenever he debuted. I was an impressionable young teenager.
Mm-hmm.
And I hooked onto him real quick. Like, this guy's real.
Yeah.
And so like I followed his WWE career real close. And so whenever, I even remember at points I was like, Punk's never going to win the title, and that's okay, I guess. At least he's won the World Heavyweight Championship.
Yeah.
And so whenever he was like gunning for the WWE Championship, it was like, well, hell yeah.
Yeah.
Like, this is my guy.
Yeah.
He might win. So I was just so invested seeing this guy come from ECW and just another guy in ECW
Yeah.
to WWE Championship. Like, oh man. And so knowing that I felt so emotionally invested in that to a man who I've never met,
Yeah.
it's like this is something special. I want to be a part of something that can be this special.
Mm-hmm.
So, I don't know, he just seemed real.
Yeah. So, had you researched, because you came to books in roughly 2012, correct? Had you researched other schools, or was it just you knew that Booker had a school and it was kind of the first choice, or how did that go?
I had heard of PWA because my best friend growing up, his cousin was Mr. Fitness.
Oh, okay, okay.
So I had gone and seen PWA shows. And and I fell off from going to that. And then I was like, all right, I'm going to do this. I looked up online and saw Booker School, and I looked at the cost, and it said, it's this much money.
Yeah.
Okay. And I had been saving up since I got a job.
Okay.
So that was not a problem. And then I was like, oh, there's a school run by Tugboat Taylor. went to the website and said, we will discuss pricing. I was like, I don't feel too good about that. At least I know what the price is for bookers. I'm gonna go to bookers.
Okay.
So, because like I joined even when it was still PWA, so there was no TV. There were not to shoot anything down, but there weren't too many people in the crowd, so it was like this allure of what reality wrestling has now to join. So it was honestly just, I didn't want to try to haggle the price. So I was like, it's a set in stone. I'll go ahead and just pay.
At least you knew what you were getting yourself into, as opposed to, well, how much do you think you should pay? And you're like, well, how much do you want? What's it worth it to you? Okay, so what was it like meeting Book for the first time?
Oh my God, I'm stupid. And like I had signed up for the school, I joined, I did some conditioning, and at the time, I was getting a lot of piercings that I don't really wear anymore. And so earlier in the day, I got my tongue pierced. No, the day before, I got my tongue pierced. So the next day, I go and I can't talk at all. And that's the day that I meet Booker.
Ooh, okay.
And he was like, "Hey kid, how you doing?" Good. He just looked at me. What's your name? And he just looked at me and he just went about his way. It's like, good. I'm glad that that's my first impression. But it was weird. I'd never met anybody on any level of celebrity before that. And him walking in, and people were like, "Oh, hey, Book." That's Booker T.
Yeah.
And I was starstruck. And sometimes I still, whenever he's talking to all of us, I'll sit there and I used to watch this guy. And it's just weird to me. That's where I am in my life, is that I am in the presence of somebody I used to watch. I get annoyed by somebody I used to watch. I enjoy listening to somebody I used to watch. So, like, it's weird that that man is now in my life in the way that he is.
Yeah.
But it was I was starstruck when I first met him. And I felt really stupid when I first met him because I couldn't talk. So
I think I was not so, I mean, I'd met some guys in the industry. I know quite a few. I think what saved me the first time meeting him, because at the time he was King Booker, and I absolutely adored that whole time, you know. A guy to take the King of the Ring and make it into this thing, and then have Queen Charmel and all that. And he's still in the midst of that when I met him. But I was lucky in a sense that I'd worked with Charlie Haas at PCW for a bit. I think we rolled around here or there, but we'd never really worked a match. But he'd seen my work, and he was kind of the first friendly face. So he was the one who kind of vouched for me. He was like, "Oh, that's the market, man. You really need to talk to this guy. This guy's pretty solid." And that kind of put me at ease, because otherwise, same thing. I've been like, "Oh man, this is King Booker. Oh man, this is G.I. Bro. Oh man, this is the 5-time. Oh, this is Rudy. All that." But I lucked out that I had somebody who could kind of keep me grounded to some extent. So, how were like the initial bumps and such for you? Was it something that you took pretty easily, or was it a kind of culture shock for you, or how was it?
Oddly enough, like in high school and stuff, I didn't do any sports whatsoever. Like I played soccer when I was like 10. That doesn't count. And I did track, which is no contact.
Yeah.
And so I was very surprised as to how quickly I took to all the physical activity, because I was in pretty good shape. I was in better shape than I am now. So like the bumps, all of the conditioning, rolling, running the ropes, all of that. I don't want to sound like I'm the anything, but I did it all on my first try. It was all easy to me.
Okay.
Which is why I know that I don't make a very good teacher, because if somebody can't roll, I'm like, you just roll.
Yeah.
I don't know how to describe it. But like that stuff was really easy. The physical part was always easy for me to do that, until it gets to like, all right, run the ropes for 45 minutes.
Yeah.
Back's bleeding. I don't want to live anymore. But it wasn't too bad, in my opinion, when I first started doing all that.
And then how long had you trained before you made like your debut?
signed up to the school in like the beginning of 2012, and I debuted in June of 2013. So it was over a year. It was almost a year and a half.
Okay.
So, and I know that I got lucky when I debuted because that show was supposed to be one day, and then they had to move it a week. And a lot of people were like, "Oh, I can't make that."
Okay.
So Kevin was like, "We have this guy. He's been training for a while. He might be ready." I wasn't, but they put me on the show anyway, and I had a 3-minute match because I rushed through absolutely everything with Kevin Bernhardt. And like, I know I got lucky because they needed bodies.
Yeah.
So I'm flabbergasted sometimes with some of the trainees that we have. They're like, "I can't believe they're not using me on the show." I'm like, man, you've been here for 6 months.
Yeah.
Like, chill out. Take it easy. It took me a year and a half.
Yeah.
So I try not to get mad at that stuff because me getting mad isn't going to change anything.
Yeah.
But yeah, a year and a half of training before I debuted.
And what was it like for you, having been a fan, then you put in like this 18 months of training to finally kind of lock into your debut match? What was going through your mind, aside from like, man, I hope I don't mess up or any of that, but what were you feeling outside of that, just to finally be able to debut?
That was, oh man, that was the happiest 3 minutes of my life at that point, I would say. It didn't seem real that I was going out there, that I went through the curtain and I was going to go and wrestle a match. People don't do that. People want to do that.
Yeah.
People don't do that. And I was really focused on what I was going to do in the ring. Like, that's all I was thinking of up until the point when I went through the curtain and I was like, oh crap, I have to do something right now.
Yeah.
So I was just like, and walked very generically down to the ring and had my short little match. And that's it. I was like, oh man. Like I said, the physical part was very easy, but I didn't have a character. I was a guy with an army jacket. That's all I was. No character, no mannerisms or anything. Just guy, black trunks, and he wrestles. And I was just too focused on like the in-ring stuff to really be like, wow, living my dream. This is awesome. There are people watching me wrestle. It's gonna be on the internet. And now I think about that stuff obviously a lot more.
Yeah.
And I'm still pretty happy with it.
But like even initially, like Shawn Hendrix, the name, like do you recall? Because I think I was backstage when they were just trying to figure out what to call you. Do you remember some of that as far as, or did you have any ideas of names that you wanted to use before the Shawn Hendrix name became you?
I didn't have too many names. I wanted to go by what my family calls me, which is Kiefer. That's what they've called me my entire life since before I even left the hospital. And Book was like, nah, that's a stupid name. So, no Kiefer for me.
Oh man. It's always like the Rex Andrews story where he's like, I'm like, why didn't he let you go with Rex Andrews? Because according to the book, nobody named Rex can beat up anybody. And I'm like, but now you're like the most dangerous guy. But yeah, I'll call you Sergey and you'll be Russian and stuff. So yeah, it's always the odd. That's why I ask, because you're not the only one who runs into the name challenge. But okay, so the Shawn Hendrix.
That was from, I had a beard at the time. I had a beard and short hair. And I think Johnny Hendrix was like one of the UFC champions. I don't know, whatever division he's in. And because I had a beard, and because Johnny Hendrix had a beard, Book was like, Hendrix. I was like, okay. It's like, Shawn Hendrix. All right, that's fine. I guess I could do without Shawn, which is why since I became Shawn Hendrix, I'm like, just call me Hendrix, and like, so it's just because I had a beard and Johnny Hendrix had a beard that my name is Shawn Hendrix. So he didn't put. I guess it goes with the whole naming system of how we used to have like just you look like somebody. You look like Gustavo Mendoza. Your name's
You're
Gustavo
Gustavo.
Mendoza.
Yeah.
So that's that. It was pretty simple.
So how many matches had you wrestled before the Summer of Champions 1? Like how many matches did you have?
Before Summer of Champions 1, I had June, July, August, September, October, November, not December, January, February, March. I had 8 matches
Okay.
to my name. Which I'm very disappointed that I didn't wrestle in December because I was supposed to wrestle Sergey Volkov for the TV title, and that would have been a lot of fun.
Yeah.
But I had to work, and that was the most disappointing thing I've ever had to, like, Kevin, I'm sorry, man. And then he wrestled Kid Ransom instead. But I had 8 matches, and they took me off TV after after the Pride cut my hair on our first national television taping.
That's right. That's right.
Lost a hair versus hair match against the Pride. Right after he lost the championship to the Samoan Beast, so
In like 5 minutes. Yeah.
So he was understandably upset. So he beat the crap out of me in that match. He clotheslined me so hard I got lost.
Oh.
So,
Yeah. Speak of guys who, like Chris Adams used to be his name.
Yeah.
And it was like the Pride. Chris Pride. Yeah. It's always, and the Gustavo ones always gets me. So let's talk about Summer Champions 1. Now, again, you were kind of a guy that was, I don't want to say an extra body in many respects, but I mean, you weren't like, everyone goes through it. It's just kind of like, what's your place here?
Yeah.
When, prior to that, like prior to the debut of what would become Legion and all that, what were those discussions like as far as kind of taking the character from being kind of this, I won't say generic, but going from someone without a purpose to now kind of, for all intents and purposes, having a purpose?
Right.
What were the conversations like?
Well, the idea stemmed from the man who published Booker's autobiography. I think started a company or was a part of a company called Medallion Media,
Okay.
in which they did the Tree Book,
Yeah.
which was like an ebook, except depending on how you read it, the storyline literally changed. And their first book was the Julian Year.
Okay.
And so I guess because he just wanted like to have a hand in wrestling for a second, he contacted Book and was like, hey, I have an idea for a storyline. And it's based off this Julian Year book where at the beginning of the year, people whose birthday is January 1st become possessed by the demon Legion. Which surprisingly nobody seems to know that that's from the Bible. Like,
Yeah, that's
I've seen YouTube comments being like, oh, that's just a rip off of Ghost Rider. It's like, no, the source material is a lot older than Ghost Rider.
Yeah.
But back to the Julian Year was people would be possessed by Legion, and then they would go on a murderous rampage, and then January 2nd. People's birthday was on January 2nd, possessed by Legion, murderous rampage. And that's the whole story was just a year's time. And he wanted to, I guess, incorporate that into wrestling the best that it could, because we can't actually murder people. I looked that up, and they frown upon that, even in wrestling. So, I guess he was watching some of our show, and at this point I was taken off TV, but they were giving me promo time. And this one is probably one of my favorite promos that I've done. I cut a promo on like everybody. Like I talked bad about Samoan Beast, Jasper Davis, Abel Andrew Jackson, Kid Ransom, Hilton Furniture. I called it my illusion of choice promo.
Okay.
And unfortunately, it's not on YouTube. It was when we were doing like we had another site that we were running on.
The feed?
Yeah, something like that.
Okay.
So you can't find it, unfortunately. But he saw that and was like, that guy, that's the guy that I want. And I know that I've done like thousands of promos since then, but at that point I'd done 3.
Okay.
So it blew my mind that he saw that promo and was like, that's the guy who wanted to be the star of this of this gimmick. So Book was like, "You ready for the Julian year?" "I guess so, Book. I don't know what you're talking about." And he was like, "You're gonna be a demon, or you're gonna be a cult leader or something." And the initial gimmick that never took off because I didn't like it was that I was going to be obsessed with the actual story. Like I would have an iPad during the promo set for Summer of Champions, and I'd be like, "This is what you're supposed to live by," and I would do like preacher style promos to people in the back, and people would end up like, "Oh yeah, this guy knows what he's talking about. We're gonna follow him." And it's supposed to be just like we're real heavy into technology, and I was like, I don't like any of that.
Okay.
And I didn't tell anybody I didn't like any of that.
Yeah.
I just did my own thing.
Okay.
Which was very, I'd say, Raven-esque. Like kind of the flock, kind of the Wyatts for a moment. But it was mainly just that guy typed up a script for me, sent it to Book, me and Book talked about it, and that was that. The Summer of Champions promo that everybody loved was a script.
Okay.
That I didn't write.
Okay.
So, yeah, that was what it was like leading into it, and I was nervous, excited. This is my second time with a live mic. The first time I was like, so I had like 4 promos. So at this point, I'm an expert. So I was like, I can do this. This is gonna be awesome.
Yeah.
And then Summer of Champions.
So, how many pages was the script? I want to set the stage because yeah.
He sent it to Kevin. Kevin sent it to me in an email. So I don't know like page-wise, but I know that I read it several times throughout the day by memory. And at one point I read it to Q. Okay. Because they said, "You have 2 minutes to do this."
Okay.
I was like, that sounds fine. And then I started actually saying it out loud, and my head was like, oh man, I don't know about this.
Yeah.
There was one point where the only time I got under 2 minutes was I was just powering through that thing. I was speed talking. Like there were no pauses in between my words.
Okay.
It was just one long run-on sentence. And he was like, that sounds fine. All right, thanks, Q. So like going into it, I was like, this might not be good. I might have to take some stuff out, but I don't know how they'll feel about that. So I guess I'm just gonna read this story in the 2-minute time slot that they've given me. So it was long.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to cut anything out and offend anybody there.
Yeah.
So kid, you got 2 minutes. Right?
And we gotta set the stage. Summer Champions 1, I mean, we're at the Humble Civic Center. It's arguably the biggest show for the company. Bigger than Christmas Chaoses, bigger than, bigger, outside of probably the first time we ran in the new arena, or Final Heat. But this was, this predated all of that.
It was supposed to be live.
Yeah, live, pay-per-view. Yeah. So, and I'm, Book's big stickler, and we were there from like 8 in the morning, the day of, So, by the time the show starts, everyone's put in almost a 12-hour day. And you've got all this verbiage, and you're told 2 minutes, and Book being a television guy, it's like 2 minutes means 2 minutes. Not a minute 59, not 2:01. 2 minutes. I always remember like such a stickler for time. I had like a stopwatch, and because I think originally the plan was we're going to air this live, and then So and it didn't go 2 minutes. It went.
With 3.5.
3.5.
Okay.
Yeah.
I've looked.
That you can find on YouTube at this point. Yeah.
Somebody told Book it was going for 5 minutes.
Okay.
Not true. But it still went over time, so I will still accept that.
Yeah. We almost doubled the time. I gotta cut time from the main event because of Shawn.
The cage wasn't even finished being set up.
That's right, because you were speaking from the stage, because that was kind of the, I don't want to say time filler, but it was really kind of like, all right, audience, pay attention to Shawn. He's
Yeah.
going to talk for a little bit as we erect this, which is going to take longer than 5 minutes. It doesn't, you know, I mean, it doesn't matter if you have, unless you have a crew, like a big crew. And even though we did, it still took time. But okay, so you got through it probably word for word as it was written, and you gave it its proper time. It's not like you tried to barrel through it in 2 minutes. You literally tried to give it some gravitas and whatnot. Acting, and obviously books. When you get to the back, because we have to talk about this, because it was. Quite a few have been in your position where Book is irate. He's probably already irate about other stuff. So by the time it gets to you, it's what happened. Yeah.
It was boiling and boiling, and then there was me, and this is like overflow.
Yeah.
As I finished the promo, still on the stage, something didn't feel right. It was just a feeling that I had in my gut. I was like, oh man. And I went to the back, and I had the mic in my hand, and I saw a book coming at me. I said, oh man. Give me that mic. Gave it to him, snatched it, grabbed me by my jacket, because I only had my jacket on.
Mm-hmm.
How long was that? I don't know. I gave you 2 minutes. You know, how long was that? I don't know. And how is it for language on that?
It's all good. It's all good. We're two adults. And you're telling story verbatim. Yeah.
Get the fuck out of here and never come back.
Oh.
I had been in this business for less than a year.
Yeah.
No, for 1 year at this point.
Of actual wrestling. We're not talking about the 18 months, but yeah.
Actual wrestling.
Yeah.
Months were leading up to me doing that promo. I practiced so many times, and I practiced so many times that day to get into the time mark. And I poured my heart, I poured my soul into that promo.
I mean, honestly, man, it was a good promo. Like, you take the time away and what happened, like, because again, you were one of those guys that was just kind of in the background, like, we'll talk about Cam and Kiefer kind of in the same, a lot of guys kind of in the same boat, like trying to find their way. This was your moment, and I thought, you just watching it live, like, man, that's great. Like, and I realized leading up to it, you were, stressed because you just wanted to get it right, I didn't realize that it was, I knew you had a script. I didn't know who would, I didn't know if this was specifically like Kevin's like, learn all this verbiage. I didn't know if Book would be the type to be like verbatim. But I knew that there was a lot of pressure for you. But continue. So Book grabs you by and tells you, get the fuck out and never come back. So.
Never come back. So I, as calmly as I can, take off all of my accessories that I had on, my jacket, my many bracelets that I wore, and I do my best as a grown man, getting yelled at by another grown man.
Yeah.
I do my best not to actually cry.
Yeah.
And I go out. I left the building. I'm pretty sure I missed the main event because I was outside the entire time, because I went right before the main. And I was so upset for a year because of that moment. I had Kiefer, he was out there, he really tried to help me calm down. Kiefer and Hyan and Eric, they were really supportive, saying like, hey man, like, it's gonna be okay. You went over, that sucks, but like, don't let this get to you. And as supportive as they were, and I love them to death for it, I couldn't let it not get to me.
Yeah.
Like it stayed with me for a very long time. I will say that I honestly don't think I feel the same about wrestling even to this day because of that. Like, it disheartened me so much.
Yeah.
Because I don't know, I just wanted to do everything right.
Yeah.
And I did the hell out of it, in my opinion. And I got told to leave and never come back. So it crushed me. It crushed me real hard that a few people know, but I never really like was that open about it. Like, I don't know if I want to do this anymore.
Yeah.
And even after that, I was told that Book even thought about replacing me in the storyline even after the promo.
Really?
Yeah. And hearing that, I was like, oh, shit.
Yeah.
So, I don't know if you remember Mike Alvarez, Punk Mike.
Mike Fresca?
No.
Oh no. Oh yeah, the one he was in High Octane.
Yes.
With E Snow. Yeah, that short-lived series. And we got E Snow out of it. Nah, Punk Mike, not so much. You know.
He was supposed to join Legion, and then after the promo debacle, Book questions whether or not I should just be gone for good and Mike take my place.
Wow.
Which could have been easily written because I'm supposed to be possessed by a demon, and then it's just like they possessed this one guy for one night, and then he left. He was kicked out, and now the demon possesses Mike. There, I just wrote myself out of the story.
Yeah.
And they could easily have done that. And I feel bad because I don't know who went up to bat for me. Maybe Kevin, maybe Andrew, but somebody was like, just give him a chance. He messed up once. Just let him see what he can do. And so I had it still. Thank God. But it was rough. It was a rough year, at least, after that, with struggling with whether or not I wanted to do this, whether or not I was, like, I still, even with, like, gimmicks I'm given, or segments that I'm given, I know that I rush through them.
Yeah.
I know that I have more time, but I just want to go like, all right, guys, come on. Like with beatdowns that Legion would do. I'm like, all right, beat them up, come on. Hard camp pose. All right, let's go. Because I did not want to go over time by even a second. I didn't even want to make time. I wanted to be under because I didn't want to be able to leave again.
Yeah.
But that night, it will probably stick with me for the rest of my life. And it will definitely stick with me with my entire wrestling career. It was very impactful. Positive and negative.
So, how long had it been after the get the fuck out? How long of a time had elapsed till you were, in essence, like, we're going to give you another chance? Like, how quick or how long was that?
It was, honestly, it was pretty quick on, like, Book's part to just move on from it. Even at the very next show, no. It was like 2 shows later.
Okay.
He joked about it, and everybody laughed.
Except for Shawn.
At that point, it was like, I can joke about it.
Yeah.
It still hurts Book, but I can joke about it. But the next month is the month that I got Cedric.
Okay.
And Book was very, very, very hands-on with that match. Book planned every part of it to the T that we had to follow. And that may have been a test. Be like, all right, well, we gave you a 2-minute time frame. You messed up. Let's see if you can do this exact guideline we're giving you.
Yeah.
And me and Seth did the exact guideline, and it was perfect. And I would like to say that if that was a test, I know I passed it.
Yeah, I think sometimes what some guys, even now, even like guys like Ryan or Alex, some of the guys that are like been doing it for a while, and then they're given kind of a script, whether it's in-ring stuff, and they're always like, does he trust me? And it's like, well, sometimes that's the test in itself. Can you follow direction to a T?
Yeah.
Can you follow protocol, which is Book is so big on protocol, and probably at the same time, maybe for him, it's all about trust. It's taken me years to get to this point with Book, and it's still like I'm amazed. Like Summer Champions 3, I had pulled him aside and was like, man, just thanks for allowing me to be part of this, so on and so forth. Because Book and I have had shaky periods. I mean, we've butted heads, and two alpha males that are extremely stubborn, like, okay, well, we're just gonna part ways or whatever have you. But to be able to come back and all that.